Hello Hoopaholics and welcome back to the film room. I'm Coach Spins with NBA Math, and this week we have a really special episode to share with you as we take a look at some of Gregg Popovich's favorite after timeout sets. Pop and the Spurs have always been lauded for their wonderful execution and brilliant design of all of these plays. Here we'll give you a look at three of his favorites and most common throughout the years, and show just why they're so difficult to guard. The first play that we'll look at is the ATO rip. Rip screen refers to a type of back screen that is set for a drop-down post-up. Here is a hawk set, a common NBA action with a side ball screen occurring with a staggered screen opposite for a shooter to come off. The Spurs run this frequently, and one of the things that makes Popovich and his team so difficult to defend out of timeout situations is how they blend their common sets with unique after timeout counters. Their counter to hawk with a rip screen is just one example. Here it looks like the Spurs are going to run hawk with Danny Green coming off of the stagger opposite. Instead, Green stops and sets a back screen for Kawhi Leonard to come into the post. This leads to a wide open catch and finish dunk for Kawhi Leonard. Popovich loves to run this exact rip action against teams that switch. Here you can see LeBron James and Richard Jefferson botch their communication a little bit late, and it leads to a Manu Ginobili lay-in. Another one of their rip sets, and one of my personal favorites, is a double back screen for a player that they want to get into the post. A lot of times this leads to wide open baskets as defenses struggle to get through two back screens that come on an angle from the wing to the opposite block. Popovich will call for both guards and bigs to be in this spot based on the type of matchup that he is willing to exploit. The team is also ready for millions of counters to this, including if the defense jams it, hitting for an immediate high-low, or a rescreen for the big man who comes off of the second stagger to get him on the original side he came from. Watch this play, a common flex action that the Spurs run out of their early offense. They try to get the ball to Kawhi Leonard for a one-on-one isolation on one side of the floor. Now watch for the same type of action where they set an early flex screen, this time after a timeout. The defense sees a normal set they've prepared for, with Kawhi Leonard coming off of a flex screen. But LaMarcus Aldridge changes course and engages in a dribble handoff with Tony Parker at the top of the key. This then sets the Spurs up for their patented double back screen, which gets LaMarcus Aldridge an alley-oop. Brilliant design and brilliant execution. Next we have the hammer play, one of my all-time favorites in an NBA set you've probably heard of before. In essence, a hammer action occurs with a baseline drive on one side and a back screen for a shooter going to the corner on the opposite. Here you see the play develop as Kawhi Leonard drives baseline and LaMarcus Aldridge sets the back screen for Danny Green to go to the corner for the catch and shoot three. Defenses have a really tough time guarding this action because it messes with their normal defensive rotation. Teams have a tendency to want to help with the lowest defender in the opposite side of the ball. That would be the defender of the big man here, which means there's no one available to give help on the screen. Defenses are suckered into this action more times than they can help, having to give help on a baseline drive and giving up that corner three. San Antonio does a great job running this out of timeouts after what we think are decoy post actions. Here, they try to get the ball to David Lee as he gets off of a cross screen into a post-up. Sacramento thinks their job is done as they've guarded the initial post action. But as we see, a quick spin move from David Lee engages into the hammer play opposite for that corner three. Popovich will run a lot of false actions before the post entry, which make the defense think that a new or different play is coming. Because Popovich runs so many rip plays out of timeouts, they think the initial play and the only play is for a post entry. But Popovich has something else planned all along, a spin move to a baseline drift pass into a corner three. Last but not least, we have the elevator, a screening action where a shooter will come up between two different screeners. Here you will see Danny Green jut between Thiago Splitter and Boris Diaw. The two screeners look to seek out contact, which gets Green a wide open shot on the wing. There's always some misdirection on this type of action, and it's very difficult for defenders to get through. Getting past two screeners is a difficult task. These actions can be run leading the shooter towards the sideline or up towards the top of the key. Popovich loves to run the one that leads them towards the top of the key out of timeouts, where two crossing guards underneath the basket help distract defenders, which allows a shooter to get through the elevator. But it wouldn't be a Popovich after timeout play if it didn't have a brilliant counter to it. Watch here as the Spurs use it to slip Kawhi Leonard towards the basket. His man jumps high side to defend on the elevator. So how does this all come together to make Gregg Popovich a genius? Watch these plays and try to keep up. This sideline inbound starts in a box formation, and as two players seem to cross off of each other by the blocks, it looks like there's going to be an elevator play for Kawhi Leonard. As soon as Leonard gets through the action, the Spurs flare Ginobili towards the sideline. That sets up, you guessed it, a hammer screen, the back screen on the opposite side of the floor to bring a shooter to the corner for that catch and shoot three. It's a ton of action to guard in a short amount of time, with that cross screen to the elevator, flaring out a driver towards the wing, and a back screen opposite leading to a catch and shoot three. Popovich has a ton of tricks up his sleeve, but most importantly, he understands the value of toying with teams that scout him well. He stacks his different ATO actions on top of each other, disguises them so they all look alike, and then capitalizes when the defense gets suckered in. Thanks for watching this episode of The Film Room. We'll see you next week.